Vlad the Impaler's horrific methods of death. The year is 1462. In the misty hills of Wallachia, a horrifying sight awaits you. Thousands of people, impaled on massive stakes. Some still breathing. Some screaming their final cries. The creator of this nightmare? Vlad the Impaler. The real inspiration behind Dracula. The story I'm about to tell you is so horrifying that it would make the most brutal horror films look like children's fairy tales. This man killed approximately 100,000 people during his 6-year reign. And he developed different, creative torture methods for each one. The details you'll learn in this video will shock you. You'll discover why Vlad earned the nickname the Impaler, what horrific methods he used to punish his enemies, and how ironic his own death truly was. Are you ready to dive into the true story of history's most ruthless ruler? November 1431, Sara. The second son of Vlad Dracula is born. His name is Vlad. No one yet knows that this baby will become one of history's most terrifying monsters. Vlad's father is a member of the Order of the Dragon. This is why he bears the nickname Dracula, meaning dragon. Vlad will be known as Dracula, son of the dragon. But the real story begins in 1442. 11-year-old Vlad is sent as a hostage to the Ottoman Empire along with his brother Radu. What does he experience there? How does his education in the Turkish court affect him? And most importantly, how does this experience transform him into a monster? What Vlad experiences in the Ottoman court lays the foundation for his future brutality. Because the torture methods he learns here will become the prototypes for the horrific punishments he'll later inflict on his own people. At the Edirne Palace, young Vlad doesn't just learn the art of war. He also witnesses Ottoman torture methods up close. Impaled, flaying, burning. He memorizes every single one. But the most traumatic experience is his brother Radu falling in love with Sultan Mehmed II. This situation deeply wounds Vlad and contributes to shaping his hate-filled personality. This 4-year captivity strengthens Vlad physically while shattering him mentally. Now he only has feelings of pain, hatred, and revenge. When he returns to Wallachia in 1448 at age 17, he's no longer that innocent child. In his place stands a cold killing machine. 1448, Vlad ascends to the Wallachian throne for the first time. But this reign lasts only 2 months. His rivals remove him from power. This brief period teaches Vlad an important lesson: without fear, there is no power. He lives in exile for 6 years. During this time, he plans his revenge. And in 1456, with Hungary's support, he reclaims the throne. But this time it's different. Now he will show mercy to no one. An era begins where his enemies will be punished in unimaginable ways. 1456, after Vlad ascends to the throne, his first act is to punish the boyars, nobles, who killed his father. But how does he do this? This isn't a traditional execution. Vlad buries them alive. Underground, to slowly suffocate. Then comes the turn of the killer's families. Women, children, elderly. No one escapes. This first massacre shows just how merciless Vlad is. But this is only the beginning. Vlad's first revenge is merely the preview of his future atrocities. Because now the real horror begins. The torture methods Vlad invents are so creative that they chill people even in modern times. 1457. Vlad's most famous punishment, impalement. But this isn't just piercing someone with a stake. Vlad turns this into an art form. How is it done? First, a thick stake is inserted through the victim's feet. The stake slowly progresses through the body. The person dies in agony over 3 days. But Vlad's most disturbing trait is eating while watching this torture. He feasts to the accompaniment of his victim's screams. Once, when Ottoman envoys arrived, thousands of impaled corpses were planted in the palace garden. The message was clear: This is the fate of those who oppose me. Vlad doesn't stop with impalement alone. He develops different torture methods for every situation. For thieves, he burns their hands with hot iron, then nails them to walls along with their fingernails. For liars, he cuts out their tongues, then has their mouths sewn shut. For unfaithful wives, he cuts off their breasts, then places them on stakes. Not even children escape. According to Vlad, criminals' children are also potential enemies. 1460, Vlad's most horrific massacre, the Sibiu massacre. Saxon merchants protest Vlad's tax policies. Vlad's response? The mass slaughter of 30,000 civilians. But this isn't just a massacre. Vlad applies different torture methods for people of every age group. Children, their throats are cut in front of their mother's eyes. Women, after their breasts are cut off, they're forced to eat their own children's heads. Men, after being skinned, they're slowly killed by being rubbed with salt. This massacre shows Vlad's level of sadism. Now he targets not just his enemies, but innocent people as well. Vlad's horrific methods aren't just to intimidate his enemies. There's a deeper psychological disorder underneath. And this disorder will make him one of history's greatest monsters. One of Vlad's darkest aspects is his hatred toward women. After burning his unfaithful wife alive, he terrorizes all the palace women. No one dares to look at him. But the most horrific incident occurs in 1461. Vlad falls in love with a beautiful peasant girl. The girl rejects his proposal. Vlad's revenge is merciless. He tortures the girl to death in front of her family. After this incident, no woman remains who can say no to Vlad. 1462, the Great War with the Ottoman Empire begins. Sultan Murad II attacks Wallachia with an army of 90,000. Vlad's army is only 20,000 strong. But he has a secret weapon, fear. He plants thousands of impaled corpses along the roads the Ottoman army will pass. The sight is so horrific that Ottoman soldiers become demoralized and retreat. But Vlad doesn't stop there. He conducts night raids. He tortures captured Ottoman soldiers in front of their passing comrades. Vlad's most famous memory is the feast he gave in 1459. He invites boyars and foreign envoys to a grand feast. But this isn't a normal feast. The hall is full of prisoners about to be executed. During the feast, Vlad tortures the prisoners in front of his guests' eyes. Some guests vomit. Some faint. But Vlad calmly continues his meal. He even sings to the accompaniment of the prisoners' screams. This feast is the peak of Vlad's sadistic personality. These horrific acts of Vlad's aren't just the madness of a lunatic. There's a calculated strategy behind them. But this strategy leads to his destruction. Vlad's tyranny isn't directed only at his enemies. His own people also live in fear. If anyone from the public has a complaint, Vlad's punishment is certain: death. Peasants hide their children to avoid paying taxes. Because Vlad takes the children of families who don't pay taxes as hostages. But the most horrific incident occurs in 1461. Vlad, under the name of cleansing, gathers all beggars and helpless people in a building and burns them. Their number reaches 20,000. His justification: they are a burden to society. It's better if they die. 1462, Vlad's tyranny reaches unbearable levels. Even his own boyars rebel against him. Hungarian King Matthias arrests Vlad and imprisons him in Visegrad Castle. But this imprisonment doesn't punish him, it gives him a chance to breathe. He remains in prison for 12 years. During this time, he thinks about the horrific acts he committed in the past. But there's no remorse. Only greater revenge plans. During his prison years, Vlad's psychological condition deteriorates further. He amuses himself by catching rats and impaling them on small stakes. 1474, Vlad is released from prison. but he's no longer that strong leader. His hair has turned white, his health has deteriorated. Still, he struggles to ascend to the throne. In 1476, with Ottoman support, he becomes Prince of Wallachia again. But this time the people don't want him, because his horrific past is still in their memories. Vlad is very angry about this situation, and he begins to take revenge. But he no longer has his former power. December 1476, Vlad's end comes. But his death is ironic compared to the atrocities he committed. Near Bucharest, during a battle with Ottoman forces, he's killed by his own men. The reason? They can no longer tolerate his leadership. Vlad's head is cut off and sent to Istanbul. His body is buried in Stanov Monastery. But the real irony is this: the man who spent his life impaling others dies from a sword strike. A quick and painless death. After Vlad's death, stories about him begin to spread. In the 1500s, German printer Johannes Gutenberg publishes horrific stories about Vlad. These stories spread throughout Europe. Vlad's name begins to be mentioned as Dracula. And over time, his real historical personality is forgotten, transforming into a legendary monster. In 1897, when Bram Stoker writes the novel Dracula, he draws inspiration from Vlad's story. Thus, a real murderer becomes a fictional vampire. Today, historians continue to research Vlad's true personality. DNA tests try to find people descended from Vlad's lineage. The grave in Stanov Monastery is opened, but his real bones cannot be found. Some theories suggest that Vlad was actually a porphyria patient. This disease creates an abnormal craving for blood. But historians agree, Vlad was not just a sick person, but also a calculating politician. During the communist period, Romanian leader Nicolae Ceausescu declares Vlad a national hero. The reason? He fought against the Ottomans. Today, there are different views about Vlad in Romania. Some see him as a hero, others as a monster. Sighișoara, the city where Vlad was born, has become a tourist destination. What's ironic, his horrific past brings tourism revenue to Romania. Modern psychologists analyze Vlad's personality. Diagnosis: psychopathic, sadistic, and narcissistic personality disorders. The traumas he experienced in childhood shaped this horrific personality. The education he received in the Ottoman court increased his violent tendencies. But what's truly interesting is this: Vlad is aware of what he's doing. According to him, this is the price of being a strong leader. Vlad's story doesn't just remain in history books, cinema, literature, games. It shows its influence in every field. Dracula films draw inspiration from Vlad's real story. But fiction is generally much softer than reality. In video games, Vlad usually appears as a powerful boss character. The Castlevania series is his most famous representation. Today, what can we learn from Vlad's story? First lesson: absolute power brings absolute corruption. When Vlad gained uncontrolled power, he became a monster. Second lesson: childhood traumas can seriously affect future personality. Vlad's brutality stems from the violence he experienced at a young age. Third lesson: fear is a temporary tool of power. Vlad tried to rule through fear but was ultimately rejected by his own people. Vlad the Impaler's story is one of the most striking examples of humanity's dark side. Even after 550 years, when his name is mentioned, people shudder. This shows how deep a mark he left. Vlad's tragedy is this: his desire to be a strong leader made him one of history's most hated figures. But perhaps the greatest irony is this: though he wasn't a real vampire, he's much more terrifying than fictional vampires. Vlad the Impaler's story shows how power corrupts and how dark human nature can be. If you enjoyed this deep analysis of Vlad, one of history's darkest figures, hit the like button and subscribe for more terrifying historical stories. Do you think Vlad was truly a monster, Or did the conditions of his time make him this way? Share your thoughts in the comments. In the next video, I'll tell the story of another dark figure in history. Until then, keep exploring this horrifying world of history.